Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
A big victory for Americans and a setback for the homosexual agenda. We're going to talk about the so-called Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. Hi, I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel and dean of Liberty University School of Law. Joining me is Matt Barber, director of cultural affairs for Liberty Counsel and associate dean for the law school. Matt, this so-called repeal of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, which actually is not the actual issue, it's an underlying federal statute that goes back before this Don't Ask, Don't Tell, that says that eligibility in the military includes several different items, among which is homosexuality. If you are practicing open homosexuality, you are not eligible to serve in the military. The Democratic-led Congress attached that as part of the Defense Authorization Bill, and they wanted to move it through so that you'd be voting on funding our military and at the same time repealing the so-called Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, thus allowing homosexuality in the military. But they did not get their 60 votes in the Senate, and therefore, so far, it's died.
Yeah, that's a tremendous success for our members of the armed services who Harry Reid essentially held hostage here in a cynical move, attaching really this unrelated bill to attempting to use our United States military as a petri dish for radical social experimentation. Fortunately, enough Republicans and two Democrats even, Blanche Lincoln and Senator Pryor both from Arkansas even voted against repeal. It was clear they were trying to ram this through before the November election because they believe that Democrats may suffer, conventional wisdom is they may suffer big losses come November. They wanted to get this through. It failed. That's tremendous success. And, you know, Matt, it's amazing that they're even trying to do this. From our nation's inception, homosexual behavior has been prohibited in the military, in the armed services, and it's because through objective findings, studies that have been done by the military, by all the top brass and so forth, none of them very few of them support this move because homosexual behavior is incompatible with military service. It negatively affects troop morale and unit cohesion.
Well, adultery also is a disciplinary criteria as well, and you can see why if a person is in the military and engaged in adultery, it distracts the other men and women who are in the armed services. It creates gossip. It creates a division among unit cohesion. So adultery, homosexuality, those kinds of sexual activities are clearly banned and for good reason in the military. And yet what we had are social re-engineering agendas trying to be forced down the throats of American people by virtue of this Defense Authorization Bill. The good news is they did not get enough votes to proceed, and so thus far it has not succeeded. However, Harry Reid, the president of the Senate, when he realized he was not going to get enough votes, at the very end of the vote, he voted against proceeding, which means it's a procedural move, allowing him to recall the bill back up again. So someone who votes against can actually have their own vote reconsidered. He saw that it was going down in flames, so he voted against so he could bring this back up. So although we won a great victory, the battle is not done yet. And in fact, what we need to be careful with is during the so-called lame duck session after the November votes, because even though people will be voted out and they won't be back in Congress in January, they're going to be there and they'll have opportunities to vote between the November election and the end of the year. And that's going to be another battle we're going to have to focus on.
That's exactly right. We cannot rest on our laurels. In fact, several of the homosexual publications, Gay 365 is one of the more prevalent ones, are saying that they have inside information that Harry Reid is going to bring this up again during the lame duck session. So we need to stay vigilant. We need to make sure that people continue to call their senators and let them know that our United States Armed Services is no place for this type of San Francisco-style social experimentation. We don't need to, remake our military in the image of militaries like the Netherlands and Sweden and so forth. These are militaries that allow open homosexual behavior in the armed services. And Matt, I've shared this before. I have a personal experience with this. I was in the Army National Guard for 12 years. During basic training, while I was serving, we had a young man that was going around at night during fire guard duty, watching the platoon, watching the barracks while everyone else slept, and he was engaging in very inappropriate behavior while the other soldiers slept. He was also making unwanted sexual advances toward a number of these fellas, and there was a big investigation ensued. It definitely disrupted troop morale and unit cohesion. He was eventually let go under Title 654, Title 10 of the USC. That's the law that disallows homosexual behavior within the ranks of the armed services. It's often mistitled Don't Ask, Don't Tell. That was Bill Clinton's compromise, his way of trying to get around the law, to essentially say if you're a homosexual, you can still serve in the armed services as long as you don't mention it, don't tell, but to the military, to commanders and so forth, you can't ask. Well, that was an executive order. That is not the law. The law says no, homosexual behavior is incompatible.
It's like trying to get around the adultery law. As long as you are discreet about your adultery and you don't broadcast it, then it's okay to have adultery. No, it's not okay to have adultery, and there's reasons for those eligibility criteria with regards to the military. Serving in the military obviously is not a right. It's an obligation whenever you're called up, and obviously we don't have the draft, so you're volunteering to enlist. And now the military, of all places, you want to have people that are cohesive, that trust one another, and what you might tolerate outside of the military, you're not going to tolerate inside the military because of that important cohesion that's necessary in discipline and order.
You hit on something very important here. You said we don't have a draft. We don't have a draft for now. If Title 654, Section 10, Title 654 is repealed, a Military Times did a poll of currently enlisted military personnel. They found that up to 24% of current enlisted said if that law is repealed, if open homosexuality is allowed within the ranks of the armed services, up to 24% would engage in a mass exodus of the United States Armed Services. First of all, of course,
24%.
24%,
and that computes to
almost a quarter.
A quarter of a million people.
Yeah, it's frightening, and that would be, of course, completely devastating to national security, Matt. But also, don't you think for a second that if that happened, and we have engagements in Iraq, we're currently still involved there, in Afghanistan, North Korea is barking at the gate. We've got problems with Iran. Don't think that it's impossible that they would not re-implement the draft with that with a quarter of the currently enlisted are all volunteer services, people potentially leaving the armed services.
Well, Liberty Counsel, in just a couple of days, sent over 50,000 facts. That's people that are part of our grassroots network. We have over 400,000 activists. This is not just people that are on an email list. We have almost 1 million emails, but these are people who are activists that have actually responded and do respond. And we sent out an email to this 400,000 plus activist grassroots, and within a day and a half, 50,000 facts flooded the senators' offices, and we were able to target specific senators. So people around the country that are the grassroots of Liberty Counsel were able to make a huge difference in a very short window of time. And of course, between the time of this vote till the time that it was first known, it was only a few days that passed.
Yeah, Matt, congressmen, senators, they view, there's kind of a little known structure within Congress. They view one phone call or one fax, one contact to the congressman or to the senator, they view that as about representing the view of about 1,000 constituents. So by having that many people contact Congress as we did, literally they viewed that as the opinions of hundreds of thousands of constituents. So people need to understand that if they get involved like that and make a phone call, they are really making a difference. It's not just one voice. They're representing up to 1,000 of their own constituents in the mind of their representatives.
Well, give us a call at Liberty Counsel, 1-800-671-1776. You can go to the website or call the number. The website is lc.org, and you can sign up for the Liberty Counsel Action Grassroots email. It's right there on the front page, and that is part of the 400,000 plus list, and it'll soon be over 500,000. These are people who are activists. So if you're not going to be an activist, don't sign up, because we don't want just people who want to read emails. We want people who not only read, but they act. And that's the kind of people that we have on this 400,000 and growing list of people. Go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org, Liberty Counsel Action Grassroots email. Sign up right there on the front page. Also, be sure to be part of the Freedom Federation Network. You can do that right from the front page of the Liberty Counsel webpage as well. Go to lc.org.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.